Hi, everybody. Welcome to my next episode of Conversations with the Queen. I'm Laura Swan. I'm the current Mrs. Wisconsin, United States. And I started these conversations because I have met amazing women through my pageant journey. And we have these amazing conversations and we talk about super important things and we lift each other up. And I wanted more women to be able to experience that and to meet some of the amazing women like my guest today, who is Jordan Weeks. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited that you're here so we can have this conversation today because there's so many great things that's happening. I know personally for you, and you're going to get to share that with everybody that's watching and everybody that's listening. So let's just jump right in. Why don't you tell us, I would love for everybody to hear, we all get into pageantry for different reasons at different times. So how did you first get into pageantry?
So my pageant journey started about 3 years ago. And what happened was after I had my son, my third son, I had gained a ton of weight with him. And I just was very unhappy with where I was at. I had a very hard time keeping up with my kids, the older ones, and I just wasn't happy with where I was. So I started working out and I started eating healthier. And I just started really feeling good about myself that I was like, you know what? I may be a mom, but I'm also Jordan. Like, I want to have something that I could be me, you know? So I was scrolling on Facebook one day and I saw Crystal Cavey and she just looked gorgeous in this beautiful dress. And I didn't know her. And I sent her a message and I just said, you are absolutely gorgeous. I love what you do and you inspire me. And I would love to talk to you and learn how to, do what you do. And she messaged me pretty quickly and she just explained everything. We talked about pageantry, and it's kind of funny because when you meet somebody for the first time, you don't, in your head, you kind of like, you don't expect to sit on the phone and, just talk to each other like you know each other, and that's how it was with her. It was so authentic, our conversation. And she encouraged me to go after Mrs. Illinois, and it went from there.
Yeah, she's amazing like that. I met Crystal after I had gotten into pageantry, and I'll share my story in a little bit because it's different. It's always different how we all get into it. Like for me, and it sounds like for you too, it's not like it was on my bucket list. It wasn't like someday I'm gonna do that. I always grew up watching, of course, Miss America and Miss Universe, and I was always like, I loved it, but I never thought, I never sort of saw myself in that crowd. And, I ran into somebody like one day was wearing a sash and I'm like at a coffee shop and I was like, who does that? Like, what is that? I need to know more about that. And I like asked her questions and then I went online and I like, was trying to figure out what this pageant was about. And it was a fitness pageant. I'm like, well, I mean, like fitness for me, fitness is this part of my life. It's been for a long time. It's like my middle name. And I was like Googling this fitness pageant and I was like, I could do that. So like it was an online pageant and you had to like write an essay, like what do you do to stay fit? How do you encourage other women? And I'm like, I'm all about that. I'm all about like helping other women to be their best. And so it was a really authentic story, had to send in, pictures, whatever. And I ended up winning a national fitness online pageant and meeting through that some amazing women who were like, you should do Mrs. Wisconsin. I'm like, never. So that's like on stage, real pageant, all of the above. But I was like, well, why wouldn't you? Like, you can say yes or you can say no. If you say no, nothing changes. If you say yes, what do you learn about yourself? I'm so glad that I did, and again why I want us to share this is because the personal growth that comes just through doing a pageant, you know, and then if you end up with a title, it's a whole nother level of growth. But I know even like yourself, and even Crystal would tell you in her story, the growth that you experience just being a part of this community and trying new things and working with a commitment on being your best you. You know, we have other women that are in our group that might be competing for a title or crown, but everybody's just really showing up to be their very best. And I met Crystal, back to your story, after I had competed in my first pageant and discovered that I knew very little about what I was doing and what it was all about. And by that point, I wanted to do more and I wanted to learn more. And I knew that Crystal had coached the girl who just won the pageant in front of me. And I was like, I didn't know what's going on here. And I hooked up with her, and you are right. It's like having an authentic conversation with somebody who has been on her own journey and is a giver to be able to bring other women to be their best.
100%. Through meeting her and all of her insight, she's an incredible woman, and I can be honest and say that I am not the same woman that sent that message three years ago. You know, she's really helped me find myself and find my voice, and pageantry has helped me find myself and find my voice, and I've become the woman that I've always dreamed of becoming, you know?
That's amazing. I've watched you probably since Mrs. Illinois, and where you're at today is just, it's been an amazing journey just to watch as a sister, as somebody who's like, we all cheer each other on too, right? It's like,
Absolutely.
I know there absolutely is one crown and a competition, and we've certainly been in a pageant where we're all going for that title. But I think the other thing I want people to understand through these conversations is that we lift each other up. We cheer for our sisters as they are competing in a different pageant or the same pageant, to just do your best, like be your best, and cheer you on and show up and cheer for you, and you know, celebrate with you with the wins, and like help pick you up when it's not a win, but it's still a win because of all of the journey, right? I love what you said about you're the woman that you always wanted to be. I don't like to say for people that I'm not the same person. I'm the person that was always there in a whole nother level of myself and of yourself, because of what we have of what we've challenged ourselves to do, right? To become the very best version of us. So what has it really done for you personally when you say I can say that I'm the person I always wanted to be? Like how do you describe that?
I would say that prior, I lacked a lot of confidence with anything, with my public speaking and just with myself in general. I didn't have that confidence in myself that, you know, I could go after what I wanted, you know. I would always second guess myself. And now it's a totally different, you know, game here, you know. Like I always see something and I'm like, you know what, yeah, I could do that. You know, I don't question it, you know.
Like,
so I would say confidence for sure. And it's built a lot of friendships in me. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of girlfriends, and the sisterhood has been incredible. So I would say that they've helped me be the best version of myself as well.
it is true. I feel like we all, I know it sounds like cliche. You're talking about sisterhood and community, but it's also very true. And it's eye-opening to me now that I've come into it, and I'm like, I want more women to know about this, to know about a community where you are free to grow, where other women will help you grow, where you're being lifted up. You
Mhm.
are also, you know, for me too, is a lot of the work we do in giving back to our community and to the women in our community and the families in our community, has been a blessing for me to be able to have that avenue as part of the opportunity to, you know, to represent my state and my country and the world. I just feel like, especially now in this past year, has been a way to find a way to show up and to serve and to shine, and do the things that I think are most important in life and what we do. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. What would you say? Do you have a most memorable experience, or a new experience, or anything that's like come throughout your journey that, you know, just sticks in your head?
Absolutely. So, I would say my most memorable journey or appearance that I have done would probably have to be the Tim Tebow Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
They put on a dance, it's called A Night to Shine,
Hmm.
and that would probably be my most memorable. So
Yeah,
I
I have wanted to do that. I'm jealous because I can
if you're given
imagine.
an opportunity, you need to do it. It that right there is a life-changing opportunity. I signed up to do hair and makeup for it, and then they ended up asking me if I would stay for the dance and you know, announce all of the wonderful guests that came. And I'm telling you, it was incredible. It was all the only word I can use to describe it is it was an incredible experience.
And those are the, I can just imagine. I'm going to find a way to be a part of that, in the next time, maybe when we get, because there's one that I think was just coming up anyway, and because of everything that we're still going through under COVID, it's a little different than it used to be, but still high on my list of something that I would love to be a part of, because the most important, the most memorable appearances I find are the ones where you see somebody's life change in front of you,
Yes.
and that seems to me like one that would happen, that would happen there for sure. So I know you're doing some like new things this year, trying some new things that you've been sharing about in your social media. Do you want to talk about those?
Yes, I definitely do. So I am going full force, and I am in the swim search for Sports Illustrated. Their mission is to empower women, and I am all for that. And I'm full steam ahead.
I think that is amazing. Now, Jordan, would the woman you were a couple of years ago be doing that right now?
Definitely not. No, no, not at all. I wouldn't even, the woman that I was prior, I wouldn't even go out comfortably in a bathing suit. I'd have my cover up on, and you know, I would just I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the confidence to go out there and be me, you know, and just let the world embrace Jordan.
Right. And that is so empowering. I think a lot of women struggle with trying to be somebody else, trying to fit into um, you know, just a definition of what somebody else thinks that you should be. And I find that the most empowering part of being in a pageant is that the more authentically you that you are, instead of trying to be who somebody thinks that you should be, is a lesson, I guess, that I learned, you know, through that, is that because honestly, everybody, you know, they're looking for people that are going to stand out and to stand out, not be the same as everybody. And so that happens when you're willing to be your full authentic self. Um,
100%.
yeah. So I'm so proud of you, because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would do that.
Go for it.
Well, your photos are beautiful. I'm like cheering you on. I'm so proud of you for getting to this point in your own personal journey and for sharing that through, you know, your growth through pageant with working with
100%.
Crystal, with, you know, just saying, I'm just gonna be the best version of me has brought you to this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? With anything, if there is something that you want to do, go for it. If it scares you, do it. You know, that's the best ones to do is, you know, what scares you.
The ones, if there's the ones that you think that scares you, that's probably the one you're supposed to do.
Yeah, choose that.
Exactly. Well, I mean, being in a pageant is scary.
Oh yeah.
Even after you've done them, it's still scary. But I, for me at least, continue to do it because I just see how far I've personally come from where I was, and I'm like, that is possible, and there's probably more there. And not at this point, like you have three kids. Are they all
Yeah.
boys?
I have 2 boys and 1 girl.
Okay, so yes, I thought there was one in there. And so I have a daughter and a son, and I like to take them. They come with me to the pageants. They've seen the pageants. They've seen though the community service and the appearances too. And I just hope that my example of doing something that's scary
Yeah.
um, is an inspiration so that they can also see that, you know, that there's positive that comes out of being your best and doing something that might be scary, putting yourself out there. And then on top of that, the, you know, the service for our community, and making time and making it a priority and doing it together is, I'm hoping, rubbing off or be in the memory bank somewhere for them.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that. I mean, it's so important for them to see that. And then with what you teach them as a mom every single day of, you know, you can do anything that you want in life. You know, you just have to work hard and do it, you know? So you are leading by example, you know?
Yes, I believe that. I think you can tell people, you can tell your kids that, but if they see you doing it, you're truly, you know, they're like, oh, okay, that's how that works. So, yeah, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that we wanted to share about? I don't know. Is there anything else that we should, that you wanted to share that I didn't ask you?
No, no.
Um, I
The only thing I would say is, again, I would say that if anything scares you in life, that you need to do it. It'll completely change the way your thinking is. It'll help you overcome those fears, and it'll help you build that confidence in yourself. Dig deep and find who you are.
love that. Absolutely. I'm wondering, do you have any favorite quotes that inspire you or verses that are like your go-to when you're like, okay, that's scary, but I'm gonna do it?
Absolutely. So it's Jeremiah 29:11 is my all-time favorite go-to verse. And do you want me to say it?
Well, it's my verse too, so there's no surprises that you and I are connected and that is our go-to verse. It's on the wall, you know, it's the first thing I look at when I wake up in the morning. I don't need it on the wall to know it, but it's, for I know I have the plans I have for you. They are plans to prosper you, to not to harm you, for hope and a future.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful.
It is. It is definitely the leading verse for me that is like, all right. And every now and then I'm like, I didn't see this in the future, but here we go, right? And I know it's just very comforting to know that there is a plan and that you don't have to know what the plan is as long as you take a step forward.
Yeah.
The rest is in his hands, and he's got a future that's amazing. And so for me, the other thing I think about is like, what if I didn't step forward? You know, that's the verse that gets me to be like, okay, I can just take the step, right? I don't want to miss out. I don't want to like hold back, because maybe like yourself, I've learned that you don't know till you get there, and it's usually better than you could imagine, as long as you're willing to just trust and believe, and just like you said, do the things that scare you, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of Conversations with the Queens. This is the kind of conversation that we have, right? When we are like at an event or at a pageant, and it's so empowering and so uplifting. I always get so much out of it when I'm able to connect with a sister queen, even though we're not in the same state, and we have the same circle, because that's the other thing that happens with pageants. Your circle expands, and your circle expands with amazing, empowered people like that become your friends, right? Even though we don't like live next to each other, I would count you as my circle of friends.
100%.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And for those of you that are watching this, thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting us share our passion. Thank you for letting us share our why and what it's done for us. And please consider trying something that might scare you, because I promise you it's all worth it. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.